Just got back from the family holiday. I can tell you one thing. We're never going on holidays again. Putting aside the many thousands of challenges, going on holidays with an autistic dad and an autistic son and a 3-year-old and a neurotypical wife who's amazing, putting aside all those challenges we faced, I just want to do a quick video on our experience at the airports. And as you know, there's a hidden disabilities sunflower lanyard scheme, which I've talked about many times. I think is bloody fantastic. And I want to talk about what happened at the Gold Coast airport for our flight home. It's safe to say it wasn't good. Hey, I'm Orion Kelly, that autistic guy. I'm all about raising the level of understanding, acceptance, and appreciation of the autistic community. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please subscribe to my channel and share them around. Now, I want to talk about a family holiday I just got back from. Okay, we went to the Gold Coast. I think one of the big things about holiday travel for any families, if you are going interstate, is plane flight. Let's be clear. Me and my wife aren't getting on a plane with our kids until they're 40 or we're dead. Maybe you're autistic and have kids. Maybe you're not autistic and have autistic kids. You probably have some idea of life on the outside. Leaving a house. It's hard, right? I mean, bloody hard. Can you imagine packing up your life going interstate for the school holidays? So we went to the Gold Coast from Victoria, from freezing cold Victoria up to the Gold Coast of Queensland, pretty much on the border of New South Wales, to get a bit of sun, a bit of warm water, a bit of R&R. Now, it's fair to say, number one, the first thing I'll say is my wife and I were pretty much from the first night checking for flights home the next day. Every day, we promised ourselves we were flying home the next day, stuffed the holiday. And believe it or not, we stuck it out and we did our 7 nights. We did our 7 nights like a sentence. I guarantee our kids are enjoying it. And by the time we get home, they will be talking about it like there's no tomorrow. Put it this way, my autistic son on our last holiday jumped on the bed, hit the window, literally split his head open. You could see skull. Had to get stitches. He still talks about that holiday as one of the best things in his life. An autistic kid can crack their head open and still enjoy a holiday. And on the subject of ambulances, believe it or not, night one, 3-year-old and my wife in an ambulance off to the hospital because our 3-year-old started to have trouble breathing and it was horrible. It was horrible. So he was ambulance, ED. This is night one. We didn't come back refreshed. We came back like we returned from a boot camp, right? It wasn't relaxing. Don't ask us, how was the holiday? Was it relaxing? No, it wasn't relaxing. It was one of the most strenuous weeks of our entire life. And that's okay. But here's the thing. Okay, after a really horrific 7 days, I'm sweating thinking about it. And we were flying home from the GC airport, the Gold Coast airport, which is in Coolangatta. We knew from my past videos that the sunflower lanyard scheme operates. Now, we have one. I've got a sunflower lanyard I wore around my neck. My wife had a wristband and my son had a wristband. So it wasn't hard to miss. Hang on, that's the wrong thing to say. It wasn't hard to see that we had the sunflower hidden disability lanyards as we walk through Gold Coast Airport. Now, as we entered the airport and headed for check-in, it's fair to say that absolutely zero difference. Absolutely zero difference. You might as well have said we just like flowers around our neck. Now again, this has got nothing to do with the hidden disabilities sunflower lanyard scheme. Nothing to do about the people that put it together, nothing to do about the idea of it. It just comes down to where we're at. Okay, so we have this idea, we'll wear sunflowers and it'll tell people we have a hidden disability, not just autism, it could be dementia, I mean, there's many. Okay, and then people that work in these environments like airports, they've been trained to look out for this and to help us. Okay, so it's actually about the people on the ground that want to adopt these programs. Okay, so Gold Coast Airport want to adopt this program. Okay, we'll adopt it. We check in, it's all by yourself these days, get our luggage on. No one's mentioned anything, no one's brought it up, no one's assisted us in any way. Get into the security line. Once again, get into security, getting the soft toys off our autistic kids and asking them to be scanned. And I get it, it's cool, that's the rules, no worries. But no different way of approaching that, right? Or no one coming up to us and seeing us in security and helping us out. I had to do like 7 different scans, take my belt off. Seriously. Anyway, My pants are basically falling down as I walk through. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, so Gold Coast Airport have adopted this policy, have adopted the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Lanyard Scheme program. Okay, so well done, Gold Coast Airport, for being one of the only airports in Australia to say, we're going to do this. We're going to adopt it. We're going to give it a crack. Now, I'm saying well done, okay? I'm like legitimate. Thank you. I appreciate it, okay? I'm not trying to like be rude or anything. But the issue is, if you're going to do that, if you are going to, in effect, adopt it, well then what I'm saying is, let's actually give it a crack. Okay, because here we are, a family with autistic kids, autistic kid and me, autistic, walking through an airport with the sunflower stuff. No one mentioned it. No one came up to us. No one made it easier. No one approached us. It didn't change. Do you see what I'm saying? From the check-in to the baggage, the security, nothing changed. Okay, so this is where it gets really horrible, right? You get through your gate, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now I reckon we got there about 9:30 in the morning for an 11:30 flight. The reason why I did that is because we couldn't check in online for some reason, and we have autistic, people, so we need to be ready. Not long after arriving, the plane gets delayed. It was supposed to leave at 11:30 and now it's leaving at around about 1:15, 1:30. Okay, so when you get there at 9:30, you do the math. That's a long wait for a flight. Before we even knew it was delayed, our 8-year-old and our 3-year-old were absolutely running ragged. They were completely overstimulated. It was a Sunday morning, Gold Coast Airport. It was packed. School holidays, it was busy. We chose to travel during school holidays. I'm not saying we didn't choose, we did. And we got through it, and we're home, and we provided an experience for our kids. The point I'm making is, it was supposed to be to some degree potentially a little bit easier, or to some degree a bit more inclusive. This is my take on what happened. So I looked on the website, okay, and you can see on the Gold Coast website, they talk about the Hidden Disabilities Scheme, and they've also worked with Aspect, Autism Spectrum Australia, who I host a podcast for. In this situation, the people who are charged with the training, brainstorming of ideas, I don't think actually have hit the mark. I think you've missed the mark. And there's a couple of reasons why. And look, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just being honest from my own personal experience. My wife and I are still shattered. And the website plainly says there's a map here, and you can look on the sensory map, but it talks about quiet areas, and also it talks about a sensory-friendly room. So there's a sensory-friendly room. Okay, so once the kids were getting to the point where it was meltdowns, yelling meltdowns. It was horrific. We couldn't keep hold of them. They were running off. I found someone who works at the airport. I just pulled them aside. So, sorry, really sorry to bother you. Could you tell me where your sensory-friendly room is? Because we've had a plane delay. We're going to be stuck here for hours. We've got our lanyards, autistic kid, autistic dad, 3-year-old wife. It's going very bad. They're going to be here for a long time. We just wouldn't mind getting into that sensory-friendly room you talked about for us. And the staff member, I believe her name was Verity, and I'm saying Verity because I want to say hello to Verity. I want to give immense appreciation and love to Verity and what she did for us. I asked her that question, and Verity said, well, it's actually in the front of the airport. You wonder what I'm talking about? Okay, so the sensory-friendly room isn't in the departure area where you would wait for a flight. It's at the check-in area, the check-in baggage area. So the part of the airport you really are never in more than a few minutes. You check in, you drop your bags, you go through security. And she said they converted a prayer room in effect into a quiet kind of sensory room. Okay, so we can't go to this sensory room. We've checked in, we've gone through security, we're in the gate, terminal, departure lounge area, and the sensory friendly room is inaccessible. The sensory friendly room is at the front of the airport. The only place and time you can use the sensory friendly room is when you're checking in. Now, from my point of view, and you might think I'm crazy, but from my point of view, that's the most illogical, nonsensical idea I've ever heard of. Now, the people that came up with the ideas, and this is not the airport, and said to the airport, this is what we think, whether it's, autism friendly or inclusive people or whatever, let's say you're not married and have kids. That's fine, that's your choice, but you need to think through these lenses here, guys. If the majority of time you spend at an airport is in the lounge, the departure lounge, the gates, why on God's name is the only sensory-friendly room a converted prayer room in the check-in front part of the airport? How does that help an 8-year-old autistic kid, a 3-year-old autistic dad and a mum with like 3 or 4 hours to wait for a delayed flight? It doesn't help. It doesn't help. And in fact, Verity helped us. I actually suggested, look, do you think maybe I should just try to get into one of the lounges? Up until that point, the Hidden Disability Sunflower Lanyard Scheme program, the experience of that program at GC Airport was an utter and 100% fail. 100% fail. We can train staff to look for stuff and help people, which they didn't, but we've also actually got to have infrastructure. As long as there's a room when they check in, they'll be fine. So then Verity decides, you know what, I'm going to go and talk to the Qantas lounge. You go back to your gate and I'll come and get you. I'll tell you how it goes. All right, so at this point, my wife's chasing around our 3-year-old. He's running off like he's on fire. My 8-year-old is constantly, he's hyperactive, hyper anxious. It's not going well. And a while later, Verity comes back and says, you know what, let's go. The people at the Qantas lounge have got a room for you. Okay. And what in effect happened was Verity, who's an amazing employee at Gold Coast Airport, had talked to the amazing people at Qantas, and they allowed us to basically use their staff room. They basically used the staff room that some Qantas staff would use at the Qantas lounge in the back of the Qantas lounge. So we actually got into our own personal, room with a door closed, some seats. We could sit down. If we needed to go to the toilet, we could go into the toilet, whatever, and just relax. So let's work backwards here. We're autistic. We took hidden disability things to identify we have a hidden disability. No one in the airport at any stage looked at those, came up to us and offered any kind of encouragement, assistance, or even just ask at any point. No one even looked at us sideways. And then when we asked if we could utilize some of the things that is mentioned on the website, we found out, well, the sensory friendly room is in the front of the airport, but you've passed through security and gone to the departure area, so you can't use it. So that wasn't very helpful, was it? In effect, Verity, who's amazing, and Qantas invented a sensory friendly room for us for nothing. We didn't pay them any money. They got nothing out of it. They were just being nice, just trying to help a family super struggling. So this is the issue. We talk about inclusion. I talk about this a lot. As an autistic person, we've got to work harder. It doesn't matter if you work for the people at Aspect or Hidden Disability and you came up with these ideas. This isn't about a judgment on you. This is about me calling for action, for legitimate and actual proper insights into people that are going to use it. Who thought that the room in the front of the airport was helpful? You check in, you drop your bags, you go through security, and then you spend 2 hours or whatever in that lounge area. It's not even remotely realistic. It's a fail. And it's not a fail for hidden disabilities. It's a fail for the organisations that choose to take on these programs. And I can't slap you over the wrist because I'm thankful you took it on. Thank you for taking it on. The point isn't not taking it on. The point is if you're going to take it on, don't do it as a tokenistic move. Oh, we're going to take it on because it looks so, how good would it look on the website? Yeah, we can go for an award, best airport inclusive. Yeah, you know what I mean? Now, don't do it for those reasons. If you're going to do it, and make sure all your staff are fully trained in it. So when they see people with wristbands and lanyards, they can, oh, hey, I noticed you've got a hidden disabilities thing. Is there anything I can do to help you make this easier? Can I talk to your kids? Can I help you? Is there anything I can do? Just asking would have made it easier. But no, that did not happen. My wife said herself, that was basically like nothing happened because nothing happened. So how? How is that possible? So why are we promoting these amazing initiatives if they don't even exist in practice, in reality? So we obviously need to work on some things here, don't we? I mean, you've got airport lounges, Qantas Lounge, Jetstar, Virgin, whatever. Okay. You're saying there isn't room to come up with a sensory-friendly, inclusive room for people, not just me, not just autistic people, for people that need that type of space. This doesn't happen all the time, but an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old with like a 4-hour delay in an extraordinarily busy airport was not compatible with life. We have to do better.